Performance enhancement has been around for thousands of years, with varying levels of success. In the Olympics of ancient Greece, athletes consumed potions and meats that they believed would give them enhanced abilities. While it was less frowned upon then, these early performance enhancements gave us the term doping, from the Dutch word dupe, which came from the name for an opium plant used in their potions. Doping wasn't an issue in modern sports until 1950, when the first anabolic androgenic steroid was created. During the 1960 Summer Olympics held in Rome, Danish athlete Knud Jensen collapsed while performing in a 100-kilometer cycling event. Cycling in 40-degree weather would be quite the adjustment for an athlete who is used to performing in the freezing climates of Denmark, but Jensen had been doping on amphetamines, which in combination with heat stroke killed the 23-year-old. This was the first case of steroids causing major negative effects on the human body. This event led to the International Olympic Committee banning the use of performance-enhancing drugs from all Olympic events. Although the use of steroids is prohibited in professional sports, many people have started doping to reach their own training and conditioning goals. Despite all of this, most people are caught up in the myths about doping and are unaware of the true effects.
This is Bruce, and this is Bob. Bruce and Bob are twins who grew up eating the same food and playing the same sports. When they turned 20, the boys moved out of their parents' house and got new hobbies. Bob took up day drinking and became an unprofessional Netflix critic. Bruce bought a bat costume and got really into fighting dudes. 5 years later, the brothers met up for a game of basketball. Bruce, in peak human conditioning, ran circles around Bob. Bruce's training regimen kept his body strong and gave him the strength to jump high enough to dunk. Bob's routine of Netflix no chilling keeps him from being able to jump high enough to even reach the net. Running up and down the court, Bruce can sprint the whole game and has the endurance to run longer. Bob can't do so much running and isn't able to keep the same pace. After the game, Bob is exhausted and can barely breathe. Bruce, who has developed his endurance for running and jumping, still has energy to continue on. The brothers go their separate ways, agreeing to meet again a year later for another game. Upset that he was so easily beaten by his twin brother, Bob decides to take action and begins taking steroids. Their mother, not wanting the games to be unfair, tells Bruce that Bob is taking steroids. Interested in improving his own crime-fighting skills, Bruce decides to start doping too. The two continue on their usual routine, Bob watching Netflix and Bruce training and fighting criminals. A year later, they meet up. Bruce, as athletic as ever, continues to outplay his brother. Now with physical enhancements, he's able to jump even higher. Bob, who spent his whole year re-watching Stranger Things, has barely improved. Not much has changed on the court, as Bruce continues to sprint back and forth. Bob's endurance hasn't improved, but his strength and power certainly have.
Every individual that chooses to take steroids has a unique reason. In this video, Bruce and Bob displayed very different paths in their decisions to dope. Bruce's justification was intrinsic, or internally motivated, as he was looking to improve his conditioning for the purpose of fighting criminals. Bob's motivation, however, combines extrinsic and amotivational decisions. This means that he was motivated by desire to beat his brother, which is extrinsic, and had no desire to put in the proper effort to train and exercise, which is amotivational. Once the brothers had begun doping, they exposed themselves to the risk of injury and lack of hormone control. Bruce is extremely active and already prone to injury, so his supplementation of androgenic steroids would likely result in a more serious injury, as well as potential issues in blood pressure. Bob, who is constantly inactive, hasn't put himself at risk until the basketball game. Bob had a high likelihood of suffering an injury in the game, as his inactivity hasn't prepared him for these increased stress levels. Additionally, his diet of fatty foods combined with the stress of steroids could cause him serious cardiac issues. Looking into the physical changes, Bruce's muscle and strength gain was higher than Bob's. However, Bob still saw growth. Bruce's gains were more in line with his intended goals as his conditioning improved as he had hoped. Bob, on the other hand, would have been surprised to learn that he added fat mass along with his muscle gain. It's also possible that the brothers could experience side effects such as the appearance of acne or breast tenderness.
In conclusion, the variation in steroid use between athletes and non-athletes has significant effect on potential gains. While steroids will result in muscle gain in non-athletes, the effects will be more strongly developed in the bodies of athletes who train in combination to their doping. Steroids present a significant health risk regardless of one's fitness, but will certainly carry on being an obstacle in all athletic competitions.